you have been impacted by this and you don't even know it. AR, or accounts receivable, is when people owe you money. Accounts payables are when you owe people money. So if you've got a friend that owes you 20 bucks right now, they're considered one of your accounts receivables because you're eventually going to receive money. If you owe that same friend $40, you're eventually going to pay them, hence account payable. This is a huge part of the business world. In fact, the larger the business, the more likely they're going to have an accounts payable department and accounts receivable department. I know like Superior Westmore has that. Like that's all they do. Well, I shouldn't say all they do, but it's a main component of their job is to make sure that they are getting paid from the people that owe them money and that they are paying people who they owe money to. I think it's important to start with one of my favorite movies and a scene from that favorite movie. Okay, it will be a little bit glitchy on your computer, so tune in. Movie is, of course, Dumb and Dumber. This is gonna age me a little bit because this came out when I was your age, but it's about. Oh no. I apologize if there's profanity. So there you go. Again, a Dumb and Dumber fan I am. But you, of course, see that briefcase that should have been full of money. And, of course, Lloyd and Harry went on a spending spree and spent all of it and filled it with IOUs. So the question is, that briefcase and all of those IOUs, for Lloyd and Harry, are those accounts receivables or accounts payables? Payables because they owe that guy. The guy, if you flipped it, Lloyd and Harry would be ARs, or accounts receivable, to them. So a lot of people go through life charging it. Now, I'm not talking debit cards. I'm not talking credit cards. I'm talking about you're at Willie's and maybe your family has an account. It's usually your phone number, isn't it? So if you charge it at Willie's, do you have to pay cash? No. Do any of your families have accounts? Okay. So that means when you go through the line at Willie's, if you give them your account, you don't exchange with the groceries with cash. You charge it. And Willie's then becomes an AP to you, or an accounts payable that you owe. And to Willie's, you are considered an AR, or an accounts receivable, that they'll eventually get the money. Ramp that up to the business world. A lot of times in the business world, say I'll use Superior again as an example, they're not handing over, $500,000 for a product. They're charging it and then we'll get a bill. And that is the simple idea of AR and AP. There's terminology that goes with this, and you don't have to necessarily write this down because we're going to put it into action today. But here are the 4 biggies. Requisitions are the first thing that happen, and in its most simple form, it's a request. It's a request from an employee that they want to buy something. And we fill out requisitions all the time here at school. If I want to go buy something at OfficeMax for my classroom, do I just take money from the school or take a credit card and go up to OfficeMax? No, it has to go through several hoops. And we're going to play that out on that last page of your notes in a minute. Once the requests have came in, or requisitions, POs are filled out, purchase orders. And you've maybe been impacted by purchase orders, like let's say you've got a role on student council or an FFA or BPA or FCCLA. You might have to sign POs. You might have to, if you're going to go buy something at Willie's for your student organization, they might send you with a PO or a purchase order, right? You might not have even known what that was until now, but I'm telling you, it's part of the paper trail. At that point, probably no money has been exchanged. Rather, the PO or the purchase order is kind of a written promise that they are gonna pay. Later on, a bill will be sent. And then even later on yet, payment will be sent. So why wouldn't you just pay cash to begin with, right? Well, organizations, businesses have to have this paper trail, and those are the 4 big players. We first requisition a request, then we have a purchase order, which is also known as a PO. An invoice is sent, which is also known as a bill, and then finally the money's paid. So what I want to do is lay this process out like in a real format, like what really happens at a school. I'll use school as an example, but businesses would be very similar as well. Okay, so Mars and others. Let's say that Mrs. Mars needs to buy business boxes, some folders, and little mini staplers for her basic business class who runs a simulated town called Pettysville. Like, I legitimately need some of that right now. So in about a month and a half, I have the correct supplies for you to run a town. Let's say Mr. Viss he wants a new wireless clicker. Is broke. And let's say Rink needs a jumbo box of Scotch tape, okay? So we individually all fill out requisitions. We might not even know that each other is filling one out. So I know I'm filling one out. I don't necessarily know that Mr. Viss or Rink are doing the same thing. Those all get funneled to Mr. Kehoe. We have a paper version of it, and we have an electronic version of it. What do you think Mr. Kehoe's role in this is? Do you think he cares that I'm buying business boxes, or Rink needs tape, or Mr. Viss needs one of these? Not, I mean, it's not like, whoa, you know, no, wow, this is really exciting. All Mr. Kehoe does is stamps his approval on our requisition. He's going to stop and ask, first of all, do they have enough money in their budget? So when I say he doesn't care, no, he does care. Okay, first he's going to say, Johnny Mars, no, you've spent all your money. You can't have this. So first of all, is there enough money? And then, does this support your curriculum? You know, if I asked Mr. Kehoe for a jumbo box of K-Cups because I like to drink coffee all day long, do you think he'd say yes to that? No, he'd say, you know, you should probably buy that out of your own pocket, which I do. So I wouldn't ask him to say yes to a requisition or me requesting K-Cups. But if I tell him on my requisition that I need these new supplies for Pettysville and basic business, he's going to say yes. Because he knows that it's me making a good decision on how to spend my budget. Mr. Viss, yeah, I can see why you'd want a wireless clicker. Rink, I don't know what you're going to do with a jumbo box of Scotch tape, but sure, if you think you need that. Okay? So Mr. Kehoe stamps yes or no. Let's talk about the timeline so far. Do you think this happens overnight? Some principals only say yes or no to requisitions once a month or twice a month. Mr. Kehoe is usually very efficient, and I'd say checks them daily. So if I put in a requisition, by the next day, I'm probably going to get the stuff ordered. From there, that approved requisition is going to go on to Natalie in the district office. How many requisitions do you think are going to be sent? 3 that Natalie turns into 1 PO. So 3 requisitions, Mars, Viss, Rink, are going to get shoved onto 1 purchase order, of which Natalie is going to send off to OfficeMax because that's where we want to buy our stuff. So then Natalie is going to combine those 3x into that one PO. Is Natalie sending OfficeMax money? No. She's sending them this PO or this purchase order. We want to purchase these things. She's also actually placing the order itself. A lot of times when businesses order things, you can pay by cash, check, card, or PO. And then a purchase order number gets put in, and it's your kind of contractual agreement that you're going to actually pay your bill. OfficeMax is going to send what to Natalie? She's going to get the products and some kind of shipping breakdown. Anytime you order a box of anything, there's usually some kind of receipt in there. Receipt or like a shipping packing list, that kind of thing. What else is Natalie going to get? The bill. What's a more fancy word for a bill? Invoice will likely be sent with it or separate. What's OfficeMax eventually going to get from Natalie? Money. And what's Mars eventually going to get? I'm eventually going to get my stuff. How long do you think this whole process takes? I talked about requisitions to Mr. Kehoe, usually a day, because he's really efficient. How long do you think it's going to take for Mars Rank Vis to get the stuff they actually wanted? In these times, potentially less than a week. If we were ordering from Amazon, I'd say less than a week. Okay? I'd say on average, this is going to be 1 to 3 weeks. I might get my stuff. Natalie might take even longer to pay the bill. Maybe she only pays bills once a month. 1 to 3 weeks, I'd say, is a good average. You still might say, why aren't you just running up to OfficeMax and buying it yourself, Mrs. Mars? Well, I could, but I don't want to pay it out of my own pocket, and they're probably not going to send a credit card with me to Alec. Not that they don't trust me, but it's just not part of the process. This is the process. So should we try it together? Yes, question. Good question from Gage. Would they reimburse me? So if I was an Alec and I'm like, I'm just going to buy the stuff and I'm going to ask for reimbursement, I would say as a system, they don't love that. There might be like from an auditing perspective, they might be like, why'd you cut Jenny Mars a check for 120 bucks? So this process from an auditing perspective, and auditors come a lot to the school. It's just to keep things transparent. We're dealing with public dollars here, and why are you cutting a check to Jenny Mars? You know what I mean? So this process is better. Honestly, what I've done in the past, like when I'm in a bind and I need it now, I just buy it and just foot the bill. Yeah. I try not to, though, to keep a happy Mr. Mars. Okay. So I want to work through the packet. So flip to the front. You're also going to need a Mean Genes book today, so go grab a Mean Genes book. If you're feeling lazy, make your neighbors do it. If I recall, I have a really bad, I have a really bad printout. So I think there's a little Photoshop there too. So again, you're being introduced to a Mean Genes or a Pettysville type set of directions, which they overcomplicate things. I always say it's kind of a wild goose chase because they're going to give you directions to go to the book. The book's going to tell you to go to a different page in the book, and it's highly annoying. You're going to get used to it when you do Pettysville. It's just that I'm trying to throw a little bit at you today. If you find this kind of interesting, if you're like, okay, I kind of like this, like the requisitions turn into a purchase order, which turn into a bill. If you kind of like that, consider working at Taylor Office Supplies. Taylor Office Supplies is one of the businesses in Pettysville. They do quite a few purchase orders turned into bills. So if you think this is kind of easy, kind of fun, that'd be a good business to work for. Also, you should know there's a digital version of all of this. Just like there was for payroll when you did the lots and lots of math yesterday, there's a digital version of this. So you plug in numbers and it makes the invoices for you, which is kind of nice. So I can see that I can see the word requisition on 2 pieces of paper. Will you circle those? So again, if you do all these steps with me, I'm basically giving you free points because I'm doing the work with you. Nice. That's why I'm recording it for the folks that are gone. Okay, question. Are we United Communications or Taylor Office Supplies? Which business are we? Which one do we work for? United Communications, okay? So employees at United Communications are requesting supplies from who? So who are the employees? Jennifer and what's the other girl? April maybe, if I remember right? Okay, so Jennifer works at United Communications. April works at United Communications. They probably don't know that each other is requesting, but they work at United Communications and they're requesting stuff to be purchased from Taylor Office Supplies. There's probably a Mr. Kehoe of the business somewhere that's going to stamp yes or no. Is it in your budget and does it pertain to what you need? Okay. What do they want to buy? What does Jennifer want to buy? Rubber bands, staples, and what else? Sticky notes, basically. What does April want to buy? Oh, let's stop for a minute. They both want staples. So when we combine these requisitions into one purchase order, how many staples are we actually going to order? Why did you say 13 boxes? Jennifer wants 10. So in my example that I just did, I probably should have had like Mr. Viss and Rink both wanting tape or something. So I could have explained that you combine them, okay? What else does April want? Envelopes, paper clips, and tape. So the only 2 that overlap are the staples. Can you star that? So what we're going to do is we're going to basically pretend we're the Mr. Kehoe of the group. We are the person who the requisitions come to, and we're going to stamp yes or no. We're going to also make sure it's a viable purchase, and then we're going to even take it one step further and wear the Natalie hat and combine them to be one purchase order. So flip to the next page. You see a purchase order. You can go ahead and put PO there. That's a little bit more commonly known. A digital version, do you see how it's checked original? You always print 2 and you check one original and then you send that one off and then you print another one, checked copy, and keep it for your records. Okay, so I would assume that makes sense. Supplier, okay, again, this is us, United Communications. This is us. Isn't that the hot new show on TV? Who are we buying from, or who's going to supply us? What else do you think goes in there? Address, city, state, zip. Where are you going to find the Taylor Office Supplies address in that book, do you think? Is it on the requisition? Sweet, you can pull it right from there. It'd be in the book as well. But what is their street? If I remember right, this is really dorky of me that I know this, Rivet Street. Okay, so why don't you put in, tell me the number. 12 Rivet Street. And that's, of course, in Pettysville, Ohio. 43553. You can just leave the 5-digit code. Let's just use today's date. So 2/8/2018. Okay, these next three, they would tell you in the book a set of directions to use. Ship via, what does that mean? Ship via what? What is that? Any idea what that means? How it's going to get to us, okay? So are we going to send it through the post office? Are we going to express mail it or priority mail? Are we going to send it on a semi through 18-wheeler truck lines? Another option is if you're just going to pay for it right away, cash and carry is an option as well, and that's what I'd like you to write. Meaning you're going to bring cash and carry the stuff out. So there's really not a need for a bill. There's a lot of options here, and I'm going to actually teach you those options starting tomorrow and into next week. You're going to learn about postal services and shipping services. Okay? Purchase order number. This is part of the paper trail. This is also part of a business's transparency, so people aren't like smuggling and stealing and unethically doing things. Let's just go with 5,000 as the purchase order number. What if we had to do 2 purchase orders today? What would the next one be? 5,001, 5,002, 5,003. Purchase orders are pre-numbered, and in the simulation, you're given like a little list of numbers on which one you do, and then you check them off as you go. Terms. Terms typically mean, like in accounting, I teach one that's 2, 10, and 30, which means I'm going to give you a 2% discount if you pay within the first 10 days. The rest of the amount's due in 30. Let's just go ahead and leave that blank because I'm paying cash. I'm not going to be charging it, so you can just leave that blank. Okay, we've got to combine these purchase orders. Let's go back to Jennifer's. And if it would help to rip the page apart so you can have it right in front of you, you can just restaple it before you're done. What's the first thing that Jennifer wanted? 6 boxes of rubber bands. What else did Jennifer want? The staples, but April also wanted staples. How many did Jennifer want? 10. How many did April want? 13, or 3, so a total of 13. Do you see how we combine that? And so go ahead and star that just so you can remember, oh yeah, that's why it's 13, not 10 and 3. What else did Jennifer want? How many? 6 packages of okay. Is that it for her? And then head over to the April side. She wanted staples. What else did she want? What else? 6. Again, there's digital versions of this where you just type it all, which is nice. Packaging tape for her too. 12. And then rolls of packaging tape. Does it look like we're missing quite a bit here? Yeah. What is the cat number? And I don't think this has anything to do with meows. What do you think cat number means? What's that? Close. It's catalog number. Yep. So we have to go find that catalog number. Unit price, we need to figure out how much 1 is and then do the math. So I'm going to be honest, you have to go hunt for the Taylor Office Supplies list. It's in the back of your book. Everybody's price lists are in the back of the book. Ooh, there's some Pettysville mail there, Connor. You can just leave it there. All of the price lists for all of the businesses are in the back of the book. Some of the books are kind of torn and tattered. They've been loved. What page did you find it on? 363. You will see all the stuff. You will see all the catalog numbers. You will see all of the unit prices. So what's the catalog number for the rubber bands? 3575. How much is 1 box of rubber bands? So then what would I do to calculate my total amount? $3.99 times 6. So what I would like you guys to do right now is fill this in. And we are not requesting the stuff. This is a purchase order. We've already combined the requisitions into the one purchase order. So what you're doing right now is one of the many roles that Natalie plays in the district office. She combines requisitions all the time to create purchase orders. I would like you to fill out the amounts and do the math, but I will tell you your total at the end will be $172.55. And you are the approval person, so you would go ahead and sign that approved by. So please, figure out this math, but know that that is your total down there. So that completes that whole requisition to purchase order business, especially because of the cash and carry. We'd bring this purchase order, in this case, to Taylor office. We'd get the stuff, we'd pay him cash, and it'd be a done deal. The next phase of what I want to teach you is, I got to just remember what it is here. Oh yeah, the page 173 to 174. We're going to do those two together right now as well. So these two are separate of each other. I'm sorry, my visuals are so bad here. All right, good enough. So let's read the directions here. So this is separate from what we just did. The directions on page 173 say, assume you're the manager of Buckeye Equipment. Okay. Buckeye, of course, is similar to our Riley Brothers here in Morris, with the difference of they also rent equipment. So they perform like land excavation, build and design stuff, but they also rent equipment. On July 9th, you received a purchase order. So do you see how we're on the receiving end of a purchase order, whereas what we just did here, we were on the creation side of the purchase order. So we got one. And they've got one from who? 18-wheeler trucking lines. So what we have to do is ship it to them. We have to get it to them. And we're going to send them an invoice or a bill. So what did 18-wheeler want to buy from us? Work gloves and floor brushes. So it sounds like we're a little bit like Town and Country as well. Would you agree? Okay, so 18-wheeler, did they show up with like, yeah, how many work gloves? Oh, they're expensive. So they want work gloves. They want, how many floor brushes do they want? Okay, so we got this purchase order from them. Let's, again, mark that PO from Buckeye. No, I did that wrong. PO from, and they're buying from Buckeye. Buying from. Okay, they've got their purchase order number in there. It looks like we're going to ship it priority mail. And then they're going to pay us cash as soon as they get the bill. So what we need to do is, because they're not buying it on the spot, we have to ship it priority mail. We have to fill out what's called a shipment form. Remember how I talked about that like packaging form that goes in the box? That's what this is. So let's go ahead and get our date set. What's the date? July 9th. So 7/9, even though the day hasn't happened, go ahead and use today's date, or excuse me, today's year. How are we shipping it? Is it, do they, and again, it's their choice. They're the customer. Is it going to be priority or express? Priority. And crated versus not crated, it doesn't say. I'll show you later how you'd find that. And who are we shipping it to? And you would look at their address on the PO, 1313. Oh, yep, I'm looking at the wrong address. Geez, sorry. You can tell my printout here is pretty bad. 1208 Oshkosh Boulevard. How do we know how much this weighs? What's that? Well, somewhere in the book tells you. So remember everybody's price guides, all that, go to the back and find Buckeye's list. So Noah's right, you'd have to either weigh it or you've maybe weighed it before and you have it listed somewhere. So how much do the work gloves weigh? 5 pounds. So right here, you're going to put 5 pounds. How much does one floor brush weigh? 4, but how many do they want? So 8 pounds. So the package will be 13 pounds total. So we can go ahead and put that over on the total weight. Why does the weight matter? Why does weight matter when we're shipping something? What's that? Shipping fees. Absolutely. Anytime you send a package, what are they doing at the post office? They're weighing it on their little scale. Okay. Crated versus not crated. If you're still on page 352, it says, note, all merchandise is not crated except 5-gallon containers might be put together. So a crate, why you need to know that is you would need the correct equipment to handle that, because crated is usually like snowmobiles, brand new snowmobiles come in a crate, and only can probably be moved with a pallet jack. Okay, or if stuff is crated and put on pallets, you would need either the manual pallet jacks or the little beep, 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 little driving pallet mover, okay? Yes, the forklift. But pallet jacks are also a thing, right? Like the little pump up ones? Yes, thank you. I just think of how they beep, beep, beep. So we're done here, but now we need to send them our bill. Notice this says invoice. I want you to write right over there, bill. Why do you see Buckeye at the top? That's who 18-wheeler ordered from. Okay. So our bill date. Oh, put invoice number 2000. You might say, how'd you know that? Remember, you have a list somewhere, and I'm just telling you that's the number. Bill date, July 9th, so 7/9/18. Do we know our amount yet? The answer is no. We might know that their stuff is valued at $73.58. However, are we going to ship it for free? Are we going to ship that 13-pound package for free that's not crated? No. So now let's fill in some more. Who's buying from us? Put their information in. If it's feeling repetitive, it is, because there's lots of addresses all over the place. What's their customer order number? Go back to their purchase order and see. $5007. I want you to put PO number next to that, just so you can remember that that's what that is. Who sold the stuff? How do they want it shipped? Remember, there's lots of different shipping options. So how do they want it shipped? All right, they wanted 1 set of work gloves, 2 floor brushes. just like last time when we were filling out a purchase order, an invoice is very similar where you have to go find the catalog number, you have to find the unit price, and you'd find that in the back of the book on their price guide. What page was that again? 352. So on their purchase order, yeah, they wanted $73.58 worth of stuff, but we're going to charge them sales tax, and we're going to charge them, in this case, priority shipping. So that's why we didn't put the total at the top, because we didn't know it yet. So in this particular state, if we were in Minnesota, it'd be 6.875% sales tax. In this particular state, it's 6%. 6% of what? The 73 whatever, the subtotal. So I'd take 6% times 73.58, $4.41 in sales tax. How in the world are we going to figure out shipping? What's that? Charge whatever you want? I don't think the priority mail people would appreciate that. So, yes, it's in the back of the book. So we've got to go find the priority mail list. Ah, I found it. 361. This looks complicated. All right, so do you see a weight column? Oh, some of the pages have it ripped out. You can look on with your neighbors. All right, so we've got a how many pounds is this package? 13. So I'm going to scoot down that list. Are we sending it locally or to a different mailing zone? How do we know local? Because 18-wheeler and Buckeye are in the same town. They're in the same, more specifically, they're under the same zip code. So how much is this 13-pound package going to cost to ship in Pettysville? $10. We are almost out of time, but we're almost done too. Oh my goodness. Nope, stay here, stay here, stay here. What page are we on? We're almost done. $87.99. You will not do this remittance slip because they would fill it out when they send in the payment. Man, we're good. We got it done. So don't forget, if you ripped your pages apart, to staple them. Maybe some people can staple and turn in from your roll. Others can neatly place your basic business books in the crates. Don't look at my personal finance classes. They didn't do a very good job with their Dave books. Thank you.